that's one of the best things I think the Occupy movement has done is crossed people's paths that probably previously would have never fucking gave each other 2 fucking seconds of the day. Like it's crazy. I'm sitting here kicking it with fucking I'll be kicking it with like a PhD lawyer over here, and then like an anarcho punk that's been homeless for 10 years because he felt like it. Yeah. And then I'm chilling with this girl who's like a Republican and like just hanging out like over there, and then like the next thing you know I'm running into a radical feminist, and then like a couple of gangbangers over here. And I'm just like, whoa, wait, like because like just fucking 4 months ago, all of these people were all fucking in their little fucking file cabinets, like the high school dance or the high school fucking lunchroom. You know, you got your goths here, your jocks over there, and these guys, and they didn't talk to each other. And then like all of a sudden, this one unifying idea that people couldn't even put their finger on at first was the very thing that ended up just like people dropped their barriers.
Is it teaching equality?
I think so. I definitely
Even though
think so.
we're all different.
That's exactly it.
Especially through our GA process. It's teaching everyone to have a voice and that there's nothing wrong with them representing their voice.
That's the truth.
So is it teaching self-confidence? Is it teaching everyone that what they think is valid? That even though we're not all on the same paths, there's a lot of people who go home at night, there's a lot of people who have to stay out here.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not on the same. We're not on the same. It's crazy. We're all taking different steps on the same path. I think I would say, like or different, or more operatively speaking, taking different routes to the same destination.
Okay. Now, well, maybe to clarify, even though we all have a different materialistic standing, we all have different material levels we've reached in materialistic society. Okay.
And levels of comfort.
And levels of comfort. Is it teaching everyone that we're all the same on the inside, and what our mind and what we have to say, what we think, what my thoughts are just as valid as your thoughts?
Yeah.
Todd's thoughts are just as valid as your thoughts, and we're learning to listen to each other and not judge each other.
Yeah. It's that taking
and learning to work together.
Because there's usually a pushing out, like a waiting for your turn to push out, and there's
and
that
push out.
But we feel like of this because of this higher task that we've got here. There's definitely been a trend of people kind of kicking back and switching the flow of that energy from like outward. Here's what's going on here. To okay, what's going. Taking in what's happening
from defensive, from maybe being defensive.
We're talking about is a collective of people learning to breathe, not just with their lungs, but with their thoughts, with their words and actions, and like just learning, as just basically being like that we're parts of a bigger puzzle. There's a book, actually, an author named Ken Wilber, who's a philosopher, and he describes the thing as like everything that exists is holons. And what that means is that a holonic like structure and things. What that means is that everything that is both a whole thing in itself and then part of a bigger whole, which in and of itself is a part of a bigger, whole thing. And that goes all the way up, all the way down from subatomic particles to the entire universe, and everything is kind of a reflection of that. And the best, I guess, like the closest point of enlightenment or whatever is to find the balance between autonomy and communion, like the importance of self and the importance of self as part of this bigger whole because of the importance of the whole, and the whole idea that transcendence involves, instead of abandoning everything that came before, it involves taking everything that came before and putting it together puzzle-like and becoming more than the sum of those parts. Like as like a real deep form of transcendence. But it's really interesting shit. And check out Ken Wilber. The Integral Vision. Yeah.
So now we have the book recommendation for the day. We were talking about that earlier. But that's what I'm thinking of. Because my view is maybe not the same. Government's just a reflection of us. What I see in you is just a reflection of me. And then in that way, if I love yourself, I see a reflection. The reflection is totally different.
Yeah. Each and every one of us is kind of a microcosm, of our perceptions of society, of our it's like another angle from which society is looking at its whole self, from an individual to getting way new agey right now.
That's totally cool.
It's the damn truth.
You just made the video, man. I'm like, yeah, you gotta wait till the end. But yeah, that's so cool. So how would you progress if you had to go, not saying you do, of trying to reach a state where everyone, okay, my whole thought of this whole discussion is everyone needs to start off society at the same base, okay? Instead of everyone constantly, if you think of yourself as a house within society, instead of everyone constantly redefining how they're going to build the house and doing the diagrams and stuff, okay? For everyone to begin with the foundation already set, okay? What would be the foundation of a person in society? Okay, so that's what we're trying to get everyone to have the same foundation. Okay, everyone needs to provide their food and water and stuff and build their house and how they're going to do that, and whether they want to have a family, how many rooms to have,
I think
how many
that
people
just
to
goes
include
back to,
socially.
like, you know, fucking wolves traveling packs, fish traveling schools, humans traveling tribes.
But each tribe is made up of individuals, and the tribe is supposed to provide for within itself. Okay, what does everyone provide for themselves to begin with, and what does everyone rely on the tribe to build their house? Because the tribe is going to help everyone build their own individual house.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of like a band recording an album. You know what I mean? You've got each and every one of their valid. Well, there's different band structures.
Okay, there's different bands.
But the idea is that for a band is that each, like, they all come together, put their minds together on the way that their songwriting structure is, right? This guy may suck at drums, but he fucking shreds at guitar, so he's gonna be putting the guitar riffs down. Every, like, 3 or 4 people in that group that could be really good at writing lyrics, so they write lyrics, but none of them can sing except maybe this chick, and so she's singing, and then, like, you know, your drummer's getting down and like that. I totally look at that like a band is like a little mini, like, microcosm of what tribal living is.
Okay, so if you look at a band,
those bands can work together with other members of these bands and, like, get together and write jam.
so if you look at a band like that, and you have each instrument, each person brings their specific skill to it. What's the foundation of each individual person? The love of music.
Yeah.
That's the foundation, and then they build
Off of that.
their album based on that and what each person can provide. Just like a society, everyone has the foundation.
Creative values, like
Everyone has the foundation of their house. Yes, some person may be a carpenter, maybe heating and air technician. Some person may do windows, installation, drywall. Okay, it takes lots of different things to build a house. Okay, but there has to be a foundation to build that house. Okay, and my thought is, how do we get people to stop relying on society to build the foundation? Because society can help someone build a house.
That's just a matter of doing it, I think.
Society can help someone build a house, but, you know, a wise man once said you can't build a house on sand. It has to be on solid ground. How do we get that solid ground for each individual to have that solid ground?
That's just a matter of...
And to be able to build the house.
I think that's just a matter of recognizing that it's already there.
It's within us.
Yeah. That's just,
Okay,
that's
no
so
matter,
just
no
a matter of
matter,
just recognizing it's
what label would you give it? I give it love of self. I don't feel like that myself. Someone gave it inner spirit.
That's probably gonna change depending on, you know,
Do we have to
where
label it?
you're asking these questions. You know?
Do we have to labor it?
Like,
Okay.
if you were to take this conversation to 4 or 5 different people, that are different than us, you end up with different answers. You know what I mean? You end up with different wording for it. Words to describe it aren't even really as important as knowing for a fact what this person's talking about, because it's the same thing.
Okay, it's the same thing. So how do we define it? How would we define that? So, because in order to let everyone know it's there, you have to have signs that it's there. Like with me, I think whether I'm right or wrong, I can just by talking to someone, I can see whether it's there in them.
Right, but check this out.
You
Check
can
this
see.
out. Just for example, I've been talking for about 10 or 15 minutes about this it. I always just call it the infamous it. We haven't been able to define it, but you and I both know we know what it is.
Yeah.
So does it really need to be defined?
If it's lacking though.
Where?
And that's the whole thing. It's lacking in society as a whole. It's lacking in individuals of society. Because the lack of it, okay.
I don't think it's as lacking as I did before. I don't think it's very much lacking. What's lacking is the awareness thereof. The foundation is there.
but knowing it's there
Yeah. See that, and
is,
that's
is the thing, and that's just basically going to end up coming with just like more and more, just like more and more people awareness. Like I think the ball is already rolling on the growth of awareness of a common human developmental foundation. That ball's already rolling.
yeah, we're definitely making progress to it. We're definitely making, but we're still looking.
Hey, what's up?
We're still judging that progress based on the progress of government and their reaction to it. It's not a law. I truly believe that's why I use the term equality and establish equality. I truly believe it's inside everyone. Okay? I truly believe it's inside everyone, and that could be the foundation of everyone's house. Okay? I truly believe that. Okay? But the goal is how, if that's there, okay, it's not there because everyone's still chasing the judging themselves based on other people and what they have and what they don't have. Just based on everybody itself. The main goal of
I'd say pretty much let him, because the thing is,
That foundation is a force that is way, way stronger than anybody's marriage to the idea of material wealth being one's life. That is a school of thought that's already crumbling in and of itself because it was inherently flawed from the get. You know,
Yeah.
and we're all watching this big old castle that everybody built like fall down, and once that happens, you have no choice but to sit there and think about something in a new light. And at that point is when people, like, for example, I went to a gathering of people out in the desert probably a few years ago, and there was probably about 50 of us, and there are groups of people that didn't get along too well. There was other groups of people that like already knew each other previously, whatever. But we're out in the middle of the desert, and there's no, facilities. There's no establishments or institutions, or there's no shops anywhere for like miles. And we're out there with the water that we brought, and the food that they brought, shit that they got, and like some shit went down where there was an RV that ended up stuck in the dirt. There was no questioning about whether or not like who was more well off to do this and this and that. No, what happened was immediately there was an immediate altruism that comes with like we're sticking together and we're like we have to stick together to pull this RV out of the dirt. You know what I mean? Or the motherfucker just gets stuck. So there's something inherent in humans that's already there, whether they know it or not, to help each other when like we're needed. And I think right now in society, like when it comes down to real wealth, which is definitely internal self-realization and self-empowerment, and knowing that the wealth was already within us to begin with. And we are currently in a desert of that awareness right now, and I think that's a lot of what's brought everybody together for this Occupy movement across the country. It's just like this whole shit's screwed up. The guys we expected to fix it aren't fixing it. So I don't even know what we're doing. I don't even know what we're doing or how we're doing it or what's going to happen. But goddammit, we're here. So let's figure some shit out. Like there's a certain kind of inertia, a certain get up and go that happens when you have no choice but to do it. I think that's where we're at now.
Just based on this conversation, you've almost convinced me that the Occupy whole thing is income inequalities in the first couple of sentences, and you almost taught me how we'll use income inequality to teach true inequality, which was the purpose of this. It's basically using the lack of the income inequality to teach true inequality.
yeah, just like the exposure to it. Like, yeah, look what we've been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
And then you
So
get
what
so
we've been-
close,
yeah.
it's like you hold your hand up to your face, you can't see your fingerprints because it's too close. You pull it away, and you're like, oh, I've got hands. You know what I mean? And then you figure out what to do with your hands.
So